Hey everybody, welcome to Elisa's Art Room. Tonight we're going to be working on my newest journal, which is going to be Country Farmhouse. We're going to be doing the cover of it. So y'all come in, say hi, let me know you're here. We're currently live on Facebook if you see the little red button at the top left. If not, you're catching a replay. Thank you for letting me know the sound is good, Dawn. I appreciate that. Get you guys pulled up. Alright, so let's see. We'll look at that after I pull the camera up because it's too hard to do it right now. Alright, so I got a couple people on. Sound is good. I think we are set. Let's go ahead and pull the camera up top so we can get started on this. 1 second. I don't have anything there to focus on. Here, let's take this here. Alright, I think we're good. Is that straight? Kind of, sort of. Alright. That should be good. So, we are going to be doing a farmhouse journal. I'm calling it Country Farmhouse. I wasn't sure what to call it, honestly. I went back and forth with some names, but we're just going to go with Country Farmhouse. I think it'll work. And I've got this pretty fabric that I found at Michael's. And it's got lots of chickens and roosters and stuff and some flowers. And then I've also got this one with barns and windmills on it. And I've got my Amazon packaging already. I've already marked it, cut it out and everything. I'm going to talk briefly about this, but it's the same thing I do every time, except one little difference. So I didn't have any of my M8 size ones that I typically use, so we're going to talk about that and what I did to solve that dilemma. And we've got 2 pieces of fabric for our front cover, our inside cover. And then they are, the fabric is about 9 1/4 by 14 1/4. Could be, you can go as high as like 9 1/2 by 14 1/2. But it just needs to be slightly bigger than our packaging because our packaging is 9 by 14. Okay, and that is for a 3 signature journal that holds a typical 8 1/2 by 11 folded in half. That's the size I typically use for my journal, which makes the face of the journal 6 inches across by 9 inches tall, and then a 2-inch spine. You got plenty of room. It'll just kind of end up shaping itself to decide the size. We put a pocket in there, so I like using the packaging. It works really well. And I did make a couple of pockets for this one. Sometimes I just put a piece of fabric across the whole thing. I didn't have a fabric I wanted to use for that, so I decided to go with some burlap and lace. And then I've got a paper picked out for inside the pocket. This happens to be one of my papers that I designed. It's just got some like farmhouse type words on it, and then a little bit of a lace background from a piece of lace I had. So that is what we're doing. So let me talk about this packaging. Hey Lori, what else we got on here? Hey Kim, hey Bonnie. All right, so typically when I'm doing these, I use these bigger packages, M8, M9, somewhere around there. Just something that I can just cut the whole thing out of to fit for my journal, because I just usually like to have one piece. But I've kind of evolved making these over the years, and I always cut the 2 pieces apart anyway. I didn't used to do that at first. For one signature, you don't really have to do that. But because I put the pocket, it makes it easier. So I always cut them in half anyway. So what I decided to do, because I only had one of these left, and I have a bunch of these M2s, which are, let's see, what size are these? These are 12 by about 9 1/8. So they're approximately 12 by 9 1/8, which isn't quite big enough for a journal on its own. So what I did is I took two and I just opened it up. I've already cut off the little strip thingy. Open it up, and I take my palette knife. You can use anything that's really thin and, you know, sharp, kind of sharp. It's not really sharp, but it's just thin. And I just stick it in here, and I work from the base, and I keep it kind of flat, and I just work that seam loose. This is better than trying to tear it. If you try to tear it, usually it will just rip and it will not come out in one piece, and you'll have to repair. But this always works really well, and just separate them like that, okay? And just keep going until you get the whole thing separated. And do the same thing on the other side. So just work your way in. I'm not sure what other kind of tool would work for this, but this is the tool I have that works, so that's what I use. And then you end up with one big piece, and it has a little center. Sometimes it's glued, sometimes it's not. If it's not glued, go ahead and give it some glue. And do the same thing with this piece. And what happens is you end up with two pieces. Now it's big enough to cut your 9 by 14 out of. And you just sandwich those two together. So that is what I ended up doing, since I didn't have a lot of those other size bags left. And it worked out just fine. So now I have the two pieces cut by 9 by 14, and I've marked them all, okay? So the first thing I do after I cut it out is I mark everything with chalk pencil. You could use a regular pencil too. I like using the chalk pencil because if my fabric's a little thin, it doesn't show through. Usually it's not an issue. So that's what I typically use. And what I do is I figure out, you know, put the two pieces together. I like to put them with the writing on the inside. That way I don't have to worry about covering it or anything, because the inside of it's nice and clean. So put your two pieces together, and you're going to mark 6 inches in, a 2-inch spine, and usually I just start at the center in case it's off a little bit. I'm going over this because I already did it to save time. So I usually just start at like 7, and I just make a center mark. This one already had a really nice center for me to go off of. So you find the center, and then from the center you're going to go 1 inch on each side of that, and then 6 inches and 6 inches. So you end up with a 6-inch, a 2-inch spine, and a 6-inch, okay? And then this is 9. So you got your two pieces. I'm going to show you how I mark everything. So your first part is front cover. That's your front cover. These two pieces don't really do anything because I don't put a pocket on that side. I just end up gluing them together. So I just say inside left top can be glued, inside left bottom can be glued. And the reason that's the bottom is because when it's made into a journal, it's on the bottom, and this is on the top. Okay, that's my thinking. You know, it works for me. And then on the inside, I have inside cover top left, inside cover bottom right. Okay, so that's my whole inside of the journal, like this. I have arrows going up to keep me organized as far as direction goes. And then on the pocket spots, I'm going to put a pocket here. You can also put a pocket here and here. It's up to you. I think I prefer the pocket here. I don't know why. I just do. But I've done both. I have done it with the pocket there. So since I'm putting the pocket here, and I'm going to put my ribbon on the inside. If you're going to use an eyelet closure or anything different, you don't need to worry about the ribbon, and you would just have an eyelet here. Okay, but I like to do the ribbon. And so this inside part for the pocket is marked, and it has a mark for the ribbon. And then it says inside pocket, bottom, cover with paper. The reason it says that, because that's my pocket, and I want it to look pretty. So paper will go over that. Paper will go over that. And then here, we're just gonna, this isn't the ribbon I'm probably gonna use, but I'm just gonna throw it on here. And then ribbon will go here. Okay, so that's how that all gets sandwiched. So that's my marking, and arrows still, and then I also make marks for the spine. That just helps when I'm figuring out where to place things, that I know I don't go too far into the spine area. So that's why I put those chalk marks. And then the back, of course, says back cover. And that's pretty much it for the marking. And it just helps me stay organized and figure out, you know, what I need to do with it. So I have those. I have my papers. Sometimes I forget my papers. I remember this time. So that's for my pocket. And the first thing I want to do is get all the cat hair off my table. No. So I think I've decided on this ribbon. I went back and forth with ribbons. I had this ribbon, this red stuff, which is nice. It looks good, you know, with it, with the two colors. But I only had a small piece, and it's not long enough. And I could possibly only do, like, I have like 2 small pieces. I could put half, like, from here, and then have the tying section out here, and just not go all the way across, because you don't really have to go all the way across. I just do it, honestly, because it's easier. And it does give it a little more security, so it doesn't get pulled out. But it's not necessary. So I could use it and this on half. Okay, then I've got plenty of ribbon for tying. So that's a possibility. I did have 2 small pieces of that. And then I had this Celebrate ribbon, which is a Michaels thing. And it's this black plaid, checkered. And I thought that looked good because it's got the 2 colors, the reds and the blacks. It's a little thinner than I tend to do for these, but I think it's strong enough. And it's nice and soft. It's flexible. Sometimes you get these and they're more polyester and they're not flexible, but this one's pretty flexible. So I think it'll tie fine. So I'm leaning toward using this one. What do y'all think? Should I use the thicker, you know, definitely heavier one, and just the solid red, which the red does match very well, which I was surprised, or the black and white, or the black and red ribbon? What do y'all think? Which one do you think I should use? I could do either. It really doesn't matter a whole lot. Can't get it to lay right there. What do you think? Solid red or the black and red that's a little smaller? The plaid? It's pretty, isn't it? I wish I had a little bit bigger one, but I don't, so it is what it is. All right, everybody likes black and red. All right, that's what I will go with. So I just need to make sure I get a piece that's big enough to tie. I could even, honestly, I probably have enough to even double it up if I wanted to. So I'd have, you know, like a double focus. Sorry, it went out of focus there. Did that do it? I'm waiting my 40 seconds. Did it work? It did not. All right, let me get it in focus again. Come on. You know you want to focus. Oh, this camera. Oh, it's not going to cooperate. Let me get with something I can see better, maybe. There we go. Sorry about that. All right, so I could double it. So you just want to make sure you have enough room to tie, and I feel like that's usually about, I want to say 12 inches. I'm just going to check another one and just see if it's about 12 inches. Yeah, it looks like about 12 inches. You could probably go as small as, say, 11. I don't know if I'd go much smaller than that. So I want the 14, and then so if I did 10 and 10, that'd be 24, 25, 26, 27, 28. Is that right? 28? Let's see what that looks like. Does it look right? I don't know if I'm adding right. I'm trying, but you know. Let's see, I'm going to try and decenter it so I can see if that's about right. It seems too small. No, that's too small. All right, I'm not adding right. I probably missed 10 inches on there. I feel like it might be the whole yard. It might be a whole yard. Yeah, the whole yard's looking about right. I need to write it down so I don't have to figure it out. We'll do that. That's 10 inches on each side, approximately. I think it's enough. It looks pretty long. So that last one I looked at actually had a really long ribbon on it. So we'll go a yard. 36. Thank you, Bonnie. I can't add. I can't add under pressure and in my head. All right, let me trim this off. It's fraying on me. Sometimes if they have a little bit of fray to them, just go ahead and you can burn the edge with a lighter. Or you could glue it, but for me, just tapping it with the lighter is sufficient. All right, so 36 inches. Oh, this mat doesn't go to 36. That's why. All right, we'll just take 2 more. There. For some reason, I was thinking it did, but it didn't. All right, and we'll just do this. All right. I'll fix those later so they look neater. But anyway, so we're just going to put that through the inside, not there, for our ribbon. I think 1. Yeah, 12 inches is fine. It gives me a little extra in case I need to trim them or something. I'd rather be safe. I'm debating if I want 2 pieces. I did 2 pieces on that last journal I just did. This one. So you end up with the 2 pieces like this that you just tie together. And the nice thing about it, when you're using the thinner, I think it just gives it a little more stability and strength when you're tying it. So I might go ahead and do 2. The 1 just feels a little thin, and I should have enough on here. If it's 11, that's plenty. I really probably could get away with 10. It'll be fine. We'll go with that. I'm going to do 2. So 2 at 36 is what I'll do. I still have a lot on there. All right, which one was that? I'll put my lighter up. Come on. This thing's almost empty, I think. You had it. Need to buy me another one. These are Dollar Tree. They're always in the impulse aisle, at least in mine. All right, so now I've got 2. So I'm just going to sandwich them together and use them as my ribbons. So I don't need these probably. So that's the first thing I want to do is go ahead and get the ribbon down so I don't forget it. It's just important. So I've marked my center, which was 4.5, and then I just drew a line all the way across so I can get it, in the right spot. So you could just find your center. It's the easiest thing to do. And we're just going to lightly glue this in. I'll just use some art glitter. It'll have a lot of things holding it. It'll have the paper over the top, and then it'll be sewn around it too, so the chance of it coming out is probably slim to none. But I am going to lightly glue it down, just a little, just kind of keep it in place while I'm working with it, and to make sure that my side is in the center so that they come out in the same spot. And then I'll glue the other one just over the top of that. And I think that'll work. Find my center. And these don't really, I don't think they really have much of a front and back to them. They look pretty much the same. They probably do, but if they do, it's so subtle. And I'm just going to put them right on top of each other. Oh, my tummy is gurgling, guys. I hate it when it does that during my lives. Why? Why, tummy? Oh my goodness, that did not stick at all. Now I've lost the spot. Where was it? Oh no. Hold on. Sometimes art glitter, when it's fabric, you gotta just hold it for a second. I have no idea which one of these marks it was, but luckily we have plenty of room. I'll hold that a little bit longer this time. I could have used Fabri-Tac, but I wasn't super worried about it. So I'm just gonna match those so they come out the same spot. Hopefully it will stay in place until I can get everything else glued onto it. You gonna stay there? It's trying. It's not really sticking super well. It will once it dries, but it's being temperamental. All right. I think that's good enough. So the next thing I want to do is put my papers on. So like I said, I picked out these papers. I think it'll work fine for the inside of our pocket. And I've cut them just so they fit just inside there. This will be mostly sewed there. You shouldn't be able to see it. And I don't want to go past the spine area. So I cut it just a little bit short so it doesn't go past, and then I'm going to line it straight up to this edge so it's nice and clean on that edge. Okay, and make sure that directionally you're good. That's hence the arrows that will help you. So we're going to glue that down. That can be just art glitter. That should hold fine. I'm just making sure these are going to stay in place while I'm doing this. Let me throw a little piece of tape on them. I don't want it to move. All right, so this one will go here. I don't think it needs inked or anything. I could ink it. I don't think it's a big deal. I don't know. I'm debating. I might ink that one edge just because it'll look a little bit nicer on the edge. So we'll just throw some Distress Vintage on there. Just the edge that's on the outside. This is cardstock, 65 pound. But you could just use paper. It doesn't have to be cardstock. I like working with the cardstock better. So this one, the front edge will end up being this one. So I'm just going to ink that side. And that will be on the top in a second. going to use my thicker art glitter, meaning my different bottle. I've got the regular bottle with the normal tip, and then I've got the metal tip. And if I want to get a lot of glue down, I try to go with this one, although it's typically clogged because I don't use it often. Just unclog it. It's almost always clogged, so I'm just going to assume it is. Yeah, I think it was. It feels like it's still got something in it. Yeah, it's going to fight me a little bit. All right, okay. So glue this on here. And I'm not going to put the glue too close to the edge for most of it. I'd rather not deal with sewing over the glue. But this edge I do have to glue good because it's the edge that you will see. So I'm going to sew that, put this one on the edge. Nice. Our glitter usually doesn't gum up my machine too bad. The Fabri-Tac's a little worse. So I just want to make sure that that edge is down good. And then we're going to line this up with that edge as best I can. Okay, so that is the bottom inside of our pocket. And like I said, a lot of this will just be sewed, so you don't have to worry too much about those edges. And this edge will be sewed too, I guess, but I'd rather it be nice and flush if possible. So I can pull that off. If I can get the tape off. All right, so now we want to do the other side. So remember, this is the top of that pocket. No, that's not right. No, wait, hold on. Did I do that right? No, that's right. Oh, okay, because I'm missing this. I was so confused. That's not right. This is the ribbon side. This is not the top of the pocket, okay? This is the inside left bottom. The two can be glued pieces are the pieces that go together over that ribbon. This is the top inside. This goes here. So just keep putting things together if you get confused, and you'll figure it out. So what happens is this opens up like this, okay? You want to make sure your ribbon is on the bottom and your ribbon is on the top, okay? That's very important. If you get it glued to the wrong side, it won't close right. So make sure that top and bottom. All right, so that's good. Now we want our pocket here. So we grab our other piece. It's going to go like this. Inside pocket, top, cover with paper. Your notes help so much, guys. Like doing this, oh my gosh, I get so confused. Putting the little notes ahead of time really, really helps. I don't think it goes that far. I think it goes to there. All right. So try to match up the edge. And ideally top and bottom. Okay. And now we've got our two pieces for our pocket. Okay, hopefully that makes sense. And ribbon's in the right spot for tying. Okay, so now we want to get our fabrics on here so that we can sew this edge, because what's going to happen is we're going to sew this edge and this edge only to start with, because you won't be able to sew these later. You have to do them first. Okay, so put this glue up. We're going to switch over to Fabri-Tac. Probably that one. I also have my bigger bottle I might use because I don't really need the small nozzle. All right, so grab your fabrics, figure out where everything goes. Okay, inside cover is this one. So that's going to be this red one. And then I have to decide if I want to try to put the pockets on now or later. I think I'm leaning toward gluing them in. I could try sewing them, but it's a little tricky. Where are they? Oh, there they are. It's a little tricky to sew them while you're doing all of this, but it can be done. You could sew them first to your fabric. I'm just debating if I want to try that or not. So that would be there, that would be there. I'm just avoiding my center spine area because honestly, I did not want to try to go through that when stitching in the signatures. That would be a pain. You don't want anything over your signature area that you're going to have to try to feed your needle through. And stuff like burlap or a heavy lace, it can be a nightmare when sewing in signatures. So keep that in mind. I might try to sew these to the fabric. I was going to glue them. That's why I put this paper on here. Not that it hurts anything to have that. I sewed a little bit of just a piece of, it was actually a bag handle scrap to that just to make gluing easier in case I decide to glue it. But sewing is a possibility. I think that that's going to fit right. It looks like it's going to fit right. So I would just have to sew this one here, not the top obviously, and this one here. Maybe I will. Glue or sew, I don't know. If I sew it, then it's going to mess up my stitching again. I'll have another line of stitching. You know what? I'm just going to glue them. I don't want to deal with the stitching and having it look funny, so we'll just leave it. I'll glue them in. They'll be fine. All right, so, but if you are going to sew it and you have like a strip that goes all the way across or anything like that, you got to do it now. Sew it to this piece of fabric before you try to put everything together. It'll just save you heartache. All right, so this one goes here, inside cover, bottom right. Okay, so you just look at the hole. It's going to be like this. And then I'm debating if I want to go ahead and line them both up and clip them or what. I think I'm going to try to line up this edge where the pocket is. So I just want that fringe to stick out just a little. And I want it to be nice and even. So I can get to my clips. So clip that. And hope everything lines up. I can always adjust it a little bit, but sometimes it's not square. Fabrics, they can mess with you. They're either square or they're not. So hopefully it will go across here and be square. Oh, it's a little bit short. Girl, did you leave yourself? I washed this after, guys. That's another thing. I always wash my material when I buy it because it's got, sometimes got sizing in there. Sometimes it'll bleed and you really need to know, is it going to bleed or is it not going to bleed? I forgot to wash it before I cut it out. So it's a little smaller than 14 because it shrunk a little bit. So I thought I cut down the bag small enough. So maybe I just didn't leave a whole lot of room is what it's looking like because it's just barely short there. So I'm gonna have to pull this in just a little bit, which is okay. It'll be fine. But so I'll pull it in just a little. So yeah, wash your fabrics first. I just forgot. I don't know. I got it home and I was so excited and I just started throwing it together and cutting it out and I was like, oh no, I didn't wash it. Now, could I have gotten away with not washing it? Maybe. It didn't bleed or anything. It might have been fine, but it does shrink a little bit, and I don't know if it would shrink with the glue. It might. I think I could squish this in there. I'm hoping. I might have to go even a little further. It's a tight fit. The red piece anyway. The other piece wasn't as bad. if necessary, I could trim the edges of this bag just a little bit, because I always have plenty of room at 9x14. This is rare. I need the outside to be that full 6 inches. Usually, like, you know, at least 5.5, but I'm just trying to get this fringe just tiny, tiny bit showing. We're gonna make it fit. But yes, lesson learned. Don't forget to wash your fabric first. If you wash it, it might shrink, and it did. It definitely did. All right, let me try this side. I feel like it's not laying square for me. All right, there. I'm gonna turn around and see how square it is. I bet it's not square. I'm gonna glue it down in a second. Oh, yeah, that's totally not square. Definitely not square. Let's see if we can straighten it out. Well, we know we have to be right on the edge now. Am I directional? Yes, I am directional. Make sure that if your fabric has a design, make sure it's the right way, because that's important. All right, we're going to try to get this. I've got a lot on the top and bottom. Hardly any on the sides. The top and bottom, for whatever reason, that direction didn't shrink. The sides did. Isn't that weird? I guess it's grain thing. Boy, that's not square. I might trim it. I'm just going to work with the best I can. I really want this side to be nice. At least, because that's where the pocket is. All right, I guess that's good enough. It's a little off. No, we'll just... so not square. It's not my bag. My bag is square. It's the fabric. Fabric's not quite square. All right, I think that'll be good. We're going to clip this down. And then I'll work on gluing it. I just gotta get it in place first. Good job on there. And it'll stretch a little bit when you're putting the glue on. It always does. No, I shouldn't say always. It usually does. I never say always, because you never know. Some fabrics act different. All right, that should be good for that piece. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to glue it. I think I can glue the whole thing. I go back and forth whether I like to glue the whole thing at first or not. So this one, we've got front cover, back cover, directional, and then this piece will go here. And we're going to see how that one fits. Hopefully better than the other one. See, that's not quite as bad. Yeah, that's better. That's what it's supposed to look like. And hopefully they'll line up pretty good. If not, you can always trim them and adjust your fringe. I'm going to try to get this one a little more flush to this side because that's going to match my other side. I think it'll go right there. All right, that should be good. Good job. All right, just get it on here and then I'll glue it down. Can't glue this now. I don't think there is. I should be able to glue it now. You just want to make sure you don't go too close to the edges because it's sewing, but other than that, there shouldn't be any reason I shouldn't be able to glue it. All right, so which is my pocket? That's my pocket. I want this side See, it's a little stretchy. So I'm going to just scooch that flush. I'm just trying to get it to lay relatively straight. Make sure I didn't move too much. Nope, looks good. All right, so let's go ahead and glue this. Make sure I'm in the right direction, right? Yes. Okay. So we'll just start on an edge. I think I'll start like in the middle and work my way over, and hopefully that will cooperate and not get off any. All right, so you don't, should I glue? Yeah, I should glue it. So make sure you glue here too, because if you don't and it starts moving around when you're trying to sew, another issue. So I'm just going to glue half and then half. Fabri-Tac, one I like best for this. What time is it? Oh, we're doing okay. I'm waiting for the air bubbles. And you want something to spread with. It could be one of these little guys or something like this. Because sometimes it'll show through your fabric if you don't spread it out. I'm going to try not to get too close to the edge because I'm going to be sewing that. And there's no real reason to get that close to the edge. Put enough on there, it won't dry before you can spread it out. That's kind of the key. Not too close to the edge. I have to keep reminding myself because I will. And we're just going to spread that a little bit so it doesn't show through. And lay it down. Hopefully it lines up like it's supposed to. I'm just going to double check my... Yep, looks fine. Just making sure before I go pushing out. I'm grabbing a different one of these. It doesn't have glue on it. And we're just going to lay it down. And then we're going to do the other side. It's the same thing. I'll figure out my direction here. Wait, hold on. Okay, I thought it was the wrong direction for a second. It's not. It's just me. Which way? This way. This way. I figured it out. It took me a second. Probably don't need the clips, but ooh, I'm melting. Should have turned my fan on. All right, same thing. Come on, don't make me squeeze hard. My hand hurts. This is why I use these sugar bells. They're softer. These bottles it comes in are harder plastic, and if you have tendonitis like me or arthritis or anything like that, they can be a pain, quite literally. Stay. This is my glue one. Yep. Okay. Lay that out. Smooth her out. Make sure we, yep, looks good. Okay. So there is the front fabric. Set that one over here. Let it dry for a minute. Trying to keep this glue one out of my... It'll stick to something. Whew. All right, guys, I am literally dying here. Hold on one second. I don't know why always overheat when doing these. I'll be fine, and then I'll start, and it's like, ugh. Fast tack on there. Okay, so looks fine. It's close. I think it'll stretch enough. All right, so we want to do, which one's a pocket? I'm gonna do the pocket side first. Try to stay lined up on that side. Okay. Hey, Angela. Oops. Not quite as far as I wanted. All right, there. Inside cover, bottom right. Make sure our direction's good. Yep, we're fine. Always double check, because there's nothing more frustrating than putting it on the wrong direction, having to take it all apart and try to fix it. So it's usually very difficult to do. So double check. The red fabric is a little thicker than that chicken fabric. I was kind of surprised. The chicken fabric's pretty thin. It's a very thin fabric. Okay, lay this out. Sure. And just double check real quick. Okay, go a little bit further right there. Just trying to give it a little stretch if it needs it, if I can get away with it. It's a little bit better. Okay, that looks good. Other side. I think I'm getting faster at these. I've been doing them long enough. I should be getting faster at it. All right. We're switching hands. My tendonitis is not near as bad on my left hand as it is my right hand. But I'm not left-handed, although I am relatively ambidextrous. Okay. Spread that out. Okay. Glue that down. It's nice and flush. Double check our back. Yep, we're good. Okay. Just make sure everything is down as good as we can. All right, looks good. Remember, we don't have anything on the edges because they're getting sewed, so didn't worry about those. Can't pick that up. All right, lid. Put that up for a second. Scooch over stuff. All right, so now what I said is we have to sew our pocket edges. That's the next step. So we got to get the sewing machine out, and we want to sew here and here. Okay, figure out which way these go. They'll be like this. All right, so we're going to sew here and here. Grab my sewing machine. That's always a challenge. I've got it kind of sorted already here. I just got to move stuff because there's lots of things in my way. So just roll this fabric off of this thing because it's it's going to stick to everything if I don't. Let's get some of that off. All right, so let me grab the sewing machine, which means getting rid of all of this. All my blocks that I used to set up the live. Like I said, it's a pain when I sew. That's why I don't do it on camera much. So I've got too many things in my way. And it's always dirty under there. Oh. Hold on, let me clean off the yucky stuff. Okay. All right, sewing machine. Hopefully I can get it over there and not knock anything off. All right, 1 second. I've already plugged it in this time. I should just be able to scooch it over here. It always drags the cords and pulls everything with it. I think I can get away with that. All right. So, I know you guys can't see a lot when I'm sewing like this, but you can see some. So I just go ahead and do it. All right. So remember, we're sewing pocket edges. That's all. Just one line across, top to bottom. Just a straight stitch, nothing fancy. You could do a zigzag, but I'm not gonna because my sewing machine doesn't like zigzags, and sometimes it fights me. All right, so straight stitch. You can decide where you want your stitch to look the best. I try to do it on the outside edge. The problem with that is sometimes it's hard to follow the line. So this is pretty straight and it's almost exactly where the fringe is, so I think I can do it. I'm just looking, it comes in just a little bit there. Hopefully I will stay where I need to stay. I'm going to try. I really would rather have the good stitching on this side. And not that my stitching's horrible on the bad side, but it's not great. So we're going to try. Just going to make sure I got the cardboard packaging. Not cardboard. I always call it that. Give it a little lock. Oh, it's not really necessary because you're going to do the other side anyway. So I'm trying to use the cardboard as the packaging as a reference, so I can stay hopefully in the right spot. And if it's not, I have to do another stitch. We'll see. How'd I do? Not too bad. That's tolerable. All right, so we got that one done. Sometimes I end up getting off the edge and have to do another one. But we got lucky. All right, same thing on this one. This one you have to keep an eye on your ribbon. But same thing, just this edge. And also this looks like the fringe is pretty even, so it shouldn't be too bad. I'm going to do it on the outside. And about 1/4 inch in, I guess. Looks like about 1/4 inch, if I can line it up without it falling out. It's not glued on that edge, so it's kind of fighting me. Sorry, I have this water bucket here and it's in my way. Just make sure your ribbon's straight. Now, I like to, where the ribbon is, I like to go over it, back up, and go over it at least once. It just gives it a little more strength. right here, I just went back and forth just once to give it a little more strength. Okay, so there's that one. Now, we'll scooch this out of the way if I can, without knocking anything over. Maybe I can. All right, now we got to put the whole thing together. All right, here, let me just put this foot up here. Okay, so we have this one and this one. Okay, so you want your pockets together. And the reason we sewed those, see, is I couldn't go around. It would close it up. So you have to sew them in first. And you're just going to want to make sure everything is lined up as best you can. I try to line up the packaging. Usually, if I can line up the packaging, everything else will kind of fall into place. So, try to line the packaging up. I'm going to clip this just a little until I figure out if the other side's lining up. And see how this side looks. I'm not sure if it's even or not. Wow, there's so much extra fabric, guys. I knew there would be. I'll play with it a little bit. It's not too bad. Okay, I think it's lining up. Going to make sure it's as flush as I can get it. And honestly, gluing your fabric down does help with that a lot. Make sure that's kind of sort of straight. Just straight. Just want to make sure everything's lining up. I think it is. Okay. So when we start clipping, what tends to happen is you'll start doing that and you'll get these little bunches. So you got to kind of try your best to flatten it so you don't get that. Almost always do. And these, I know these are not lining up perfectly because like I said, that one fabric just was not square. But I can always trim it if I have to. And then this side, is it this side? I think it's this side. Hold on, let me look. Let me move these over. So you can glue, you don't have to. This is why I say can be glued. At this point, you can glue these two together. They're not going to be a pocket. They don't serve any purpose, you know, for being apart. You know, unless you were going to do a top pocket or something, or, you know, something like that, there's no reason. So I'm going to go ahead and glue them together. One thing, it'll help keep my packaging from sliding around on me. And hopefully keep it a little more lined up. I'm just double checking my... Yeah, okay. Should keep it more lined up. So I'm going to go ahead and glue that. You use the Fabri-Tac or the art glitter, honestly. Either one's fine for this. We'll go ahead and do the Fabri-Tac. If I can squeeze this bottle. But I don't think I want to go into the spine, do I? It does sometimes help if you go into the spine area. I'm going to go into the spine area. I don't want too much Fabri-Tac in there because kind of sometimes I'll get goopy. But I'll put a little. And then not too much where I'm going to sew. So I'm not going to go all the way to the edge. But anything I can do to keep all the pieces together in the middle is helpful, because if they're not together in the middle, like I said, sewing can just be a pain. All right, so that side can be glued. And then, debating if I want to glue that spine area. Let me scooch this over real quick. I'm going to glue that spine area just to make it easier. So just right here, I just want that glued. Could have used art glitter, I guess, but my sewing needle for sewing in signatures usually doesn't have an issue with the glue too much. I'd rather this be nice and flat. All right, get that off my finger. All right, so now what you want to do, the most important part is to mark your pocket so that you don't sew it closed, because there's nothing worse than sewing your pocket closed. This is our pocket edge. We do not want to sew there. So put lots of clips. Throw a piece sticky note. Whatever you got to do, tell yourself, hey, you don't want to sew there. Because I've done it. I have done it. And I had to take the whole thing apart. So you learn from your mistakes. I'll just throw this one here. All right, so lots of clips on that side. Not so many clips on the other side. Just enough to hold in place while we're sewing. Let me put the lid on that. I don't know which one of these we're going to start with. I have to figure that out because I want it to end where the pocket is. All right, so what you want to do is this is our pocket edge, so we don't want to sew here. So you got to start sewing where you want to start and go in, direction that's going to end you where you want to end. I want to end right here, so I'm going to start sewing right here. Okay, so I might have to scooch these over just a little bit. Sometimes I have to take them off. It depends if I can get it in there or not. And we're going to sew this way, and then we're going to turn and go up. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Hopefully we can get it in the right spot. Finding the material finding the packaging, which is what you want to do, you want to get into that packaging. When you've got all this extra, like I do, because it didn't quite line up, can be tricky. You just want to, as you're sewing, just kind of feel for it. And hopefully it'll be all right. And I won't have to go around twice. All right, let's get our sewing machine back over here. Hopefully this is making sense to anyone new. I don't think I've got too many new viewers today. So same thing. You won't be able to see a lot, but hopefully I'd explained it enough to you know what's going to happen. All right, so we're going to go in here and, like I said, try to find your two edges and stay inside the packaging just at least a little bit. You want to ideally keep that inside the packaging because it just holds better than if it's just the fabric. I think a zigzag would probably work better. My machine hates them, and I'm not gonna. Sometimes I chalk pencil this, guys, which I might do because I really can't see it. If you chalk pencil where your edge is, so all I'm doing is just marking the edge of that packaging. It's gonna help me hopefully keep my stitch straight where it needs to be straight. So I'm just folding it over and running the edge on there. That'll make my life easier. And this chalk pencil, you can wipe it off. It's made for this kind of stuff. And this one's pretty close. I don't think it's going to be an issue, but we'll do it anyway. It's pretty much right there on the edge. Oh, am I on camera? Sorry, I can't get that piece to mark. It's just barely catching that, so that one I can just stay about 1/4 inch in and be fine. And this one is also uneven, so I think this will just make my life easier. So if you need to do this, this is a way to do it. Okay, there. I think that will help. So you can see how uneven it is. See, like right here, it's just catching the edge of that where the packaging is, but all the way down here, it's a lot further in. So by having that mark, I know where I need to stay inside of. All right, back to the edge I want to start with. And line her up, and I'm just going to stay like, we'll say 1/8 of an inch on the inside of that mark I did. Make sure you double back up to lock in your stitches when you start. And try to watch it, make sure it's not bunching. Sometimes it will. If it starts bunching, try to work it in there. Almost always starts bunching because, yeah, it's glued fabric. It doesn't like to stay where it's supposed to stay. Oh, now I'm hitting my tripod. Lots of things to deal with when I'm live. Things I normally don't have to worry about. It's hitting my tripod and kicking it. Okay, this end has got a little bunch. Can I get you to lay flat? Alright. Keep your needle down, turn it. Wow, you got way off there because I kept hitting your tripod. I might run a second stitch. I'm going to go double on the ribbon. So just back it up a little. What are you doing? Like I said, I'm not the best sewing machine in the world, guys. All right, that should be good. Turning it. Make sure I didn't get my ribbon funny. I'm okay. Always worry I'm going to sew my ribbon in. A bunch. What are you doing? Sorry, my machine is up. It pulled the thread. Hold on. Locked up on me. What'd you do? I'm on the wrong side too. I wanted to be on that front side. Oh well. Alright, let me fix my machine. It's acting up. I think my tension's okay. It's not the best thing. And I cleaned it and I oiled it, but I don't know. Alright, let me rethread my broken needle thread thing here. Sorry. Okay. And try that again. Hopefully that stitching is not terrible. Oh, it's horrible. We'll do the other one on the front. Yeah, this is not great. It's really not great. Well, it'll look rustic because I've got horrible stitching there where my machine was being a pain. We'll do the other one on the front. I meant to do it on the front and I marked the inside, but we're already on the inside, so we're just going to stay there. Okay, let's try this. Lock that in. You're still doing it. What are you doing? I don't know what it's doing. It's doing something weird. It's punching. Sorry. I told you my machines. I hate sewing live because it just doesn't like me. It does not like me. Stop hitting my tripod. It makes me... I'm going to maintain my patience, I promise. Even though it keeps breaking my thread. I don't know what it's doing. I really don't. It's not the tension. It's something. Something's weird. I don't know what I did. Don't have a clue. Probably need to take the bobbin out and look at it. I checked it for being clockwise. It was clockwise. So it's not that. I don't know what it is. But it doesn't like something. Try it again. We're going to have all kinds of stitching on here. We only got a little ways to go. Cooperate. Yeah, it just keeps locking. What are you doing? Oh, nope. I don't know what it's doing. Come on. You just got to go an inch. Gosh, it broke again. What are you doing? I'm sorry. I'm gonna pull the bobbin, see what's up. Maybe there's something weird going on with the bobbin. I don't know. Pull everything out of there. We'll just rethread it. I have no clue. I just got to get another 2 inches in there. And it's not really dirty. I just cleaned it and oiled it. I feel like it's off balance or off center. All right, clockwise. In there. All right. I didn't know you were supposed to check for it being clockwise for a long time. And then I was watching a sewing video and it was like, oh, you gotta make sure it's clockwise. I was like, oh, nobody told me that. Right, turn that back on. Okay, let's see if that helped any. I don't know. Maybe my needle's bent or something stupid. Yeah, it could be. I probably need to replace the needle. But I don't have one right now, so we're going to fight past this. If I can get this thing threaded. Why are you not going? Lock in there. Did go around, right? Sewing issues, guys. Blind as a bat. I can't thread. Get in there. Thank you. Alright, get this bobbin pulled up. See if it's going to help any. We shall hope for this. One more time. Look at all this. I'm going to have to... I would love to sew around this whole thing again because it's a mess. It's going to be rustic. Get me this last 2 inches on here, at least. breaking my thread. Alright, it's gotta be the needle. Is the needle crooked? That's my only thought process, is that maybe the needle's crooked. I don't have another one, guys, so. We're gonna get it. I promise I'll get it. I might have to just sew around it once and then try and get another needle and see if that's my issue. And, oh, come on. Do it again later. But I'm gonna get this last 2 inches if I can. I don't know what's going on with it. It does not like me right now. So much thread on here. Come on. And it doesn't like going slow either. It hates it when I go slow. Okay. Well, maybe we're not going to do that. I don't know what it's doing. I'm just going to stop right there. I'll play with that later. I can't do this during my live. It's messed up. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's tension. I don't know if it's bent needle. But it is not happy. So, with that in mind, we're going to pretend like it's sewed all the way around. And then I will fix it later. So, let me see if I can get this out of my way. Maybe. Goodness gracious. What on earth? It has never done that. Not to that extent. So my guess is there's something weird going on with that thing. One second. I'll probably pull out half of this because it's just bad. I mean, look. Look at this. Look at that. I don't know. I don't know what it's doing. So, it's on like 4.5. That should be fine, Kim. That's what I thought. Maybe the bobbin tension? I don't know. I'm not a sewer. I'm not, I know the basics. I tried to do it by hand and it just kept, it like locks. It's like you'll turn by hand and it just stops and it won't go down. So I don't know. I don't know what it's doing, but it's... Look at this mess. I'm going to have to I'll cut all this out and try to fix my sewing machine. It's never had an issue going through all this before. I've done many of these. But... like I said, I think it needs maintenance, guys. I probably need to take it in and have it maintenanced. Or buy a new machine that's better. It was a very inexpensive machine. And it's not the best. Okay. Anyway, so part of, besides all the horrible sewing, the messy sewing, you think it's bobbin tension? I don't even know how you do the bobbin tension. Is that the little screw? I'll have to watch a YouTube video. I don't, like I said, I don't know all the things about sewing. I know basics. Basics. It does need some sewing machine, doctor. You're right. You're right. All right. Anyway, you get the idea. So, once you've sewed it around, then you cut your cover. And it'll be like this. And we got 2 little ribbons here. We can tie for a pretty little bow. Okay. I'll have to play with it and see if I can fix it over the next day. And figure it out. And then I'll trim all this extra as much as I can. It's not even, so I'll probably have to cut it and fake fringe it. Because it's real weird right here. But I don't want all this showing on the front, so. uneven there. You can probably, I don't know if you can see. Yeah, see, it's just really uneven. But that is that. So we can do our pockets. What time is it? We can get time to do our pockets. We'll do those. Now, do I want to put the pockets? Will they get in my way? They might get in my way. I'm going to wait. I'm not going to do the pockets. I know I'll have to Google it. But yeah, that was interesting. So, but we have our cover. And it's pretty nonetheless. Even though we had to fight with it a little bit. It's gonna, it sometimes has sharper lines depending on how, because I use the 2 packages, it has a little sharper point on the center there. Once everything's in it and it's all sewed together, you won't have that sharp line there anymore. It'll work its way out just fine. It'll be more curved. But for right now, it's a little bit of a sharp pincher on those 2 packages. But I think it's going to be cute. Our pockets will look like this once they're in here. I'm not going to do them right now because I don't want them in my way when I'm trying to fix that. So they'll be like that. Okay. All right. Well, we'll call it quits for there. We got it mostly made. A little bit of issues with sewing, but it's done nonetheless. You can only laugh, guys. There we go. All pretty. All right. Well, there's our cover. We got it made. I'll try to figure out that. You're right. I could totally do a blanket stitch or something if I have to and sew it by hand, but I'll see if I can get it fixed and hopefully it's fine. I do like this fabric too, Angela. It's pretty. It's very pretty. All right. Y'all have a wonderful rest of your evening. I will see you guys on Wednesday, and hopefully by then I will have solved the problem. All right. Take care. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.